Go ahead and call this meeting to order, 10 o'clock. It's Thursday, May 30th, 2024. We're here to review our LATCF, SLFRF funds, and we have a couple of requests and or potential uses for funds. So I'm going to start with Colleen with just a quick recap of where we are with these funds, and you'd mentioned we got some back or something the other day, and give us that.
So previously we had set aside some money to send Jen to ICAD with the hopes that we were going to get some discretionary funding from the opioid settlement to pay for that, and that did come through. So that $800 that I had requested for sending her to ICAD, Panhandle Health I've already sent in the invoice, so we'll be able to bring that back in. We won't have to have that, so that comes back into the SLFRF funding. Okay. So just kind of an overview. We still have the right numbers here, about $250,000 in the Slurpee money that was allocated for county projects that can still be used. And the Slurpee has to be allocated completely by the end of this year to comply with Treasury rules. So that's kind of where we are, is, figuring this out as you're going through the budgeting process. We've had some suggestions coming in, so that's where we are on that one. The LATCF does not have an expiration date, so that is meant to continue as you guys have been using it to do things that can't be attained otherwise, or to make sure that we can keep the county where it needs to be. There is some approved budgets for a lot of different line items through the LATCF, and I see a couple of people in here that they have some line items from that have basically completed with the first conversation. But there's some additional funding left in those that can be coming back into being used in those departments. So we have, and again, this is just a rough on my spreadsheet only. We still have about $3 million in that fund, and that does not have any expiration date. We do have approximately $5.1 million of that was obligated to something, or at least committed to do those.
How much?
5.19 million out of the 8 million.
Out of the 8.
Mm-hmm.
So that $3 million is unallocated.
Correct. And then within those, there are some of the projects that are completing, coming back into the fund to be able to use in other ways.
Okay.
Did that answer the
I think that gave me
foot view?
Yeah, or the 3 million foot view. Okay. All right. Well, let's go to the Sheriff's Department. What is the need? What is the situation?
Well, the good news is we're not asking for more money that we haven't been allocated already. So there was a bumper grant that still had $5,000. You just said the number, $5,039 in it, $57 in it. So because we're not getting any more new vehicles, we'd like to use that to repair bumpers that are damaged. So we have 2 vehicles right now, and that'll help us essentially make it through with using as little out of the budget as we can, and use grant money instead for things that are already allocated to that. So I have 2 quotes here for 2 vehicles from Heyman's that have bumper damage, one for $3,357 and the other for $2,852. Obviously that's over that amount, which the rest of the amount we're planning to take out of our equipment already. That's already in our budget if you guys approve this. So it's just asking for the $5,000 and some change to be put towards these fixes. So it's 2 deer crashes.
Okay, so there's 2 less deer on the road, so
There's
we're all
2
safer.
less deer, yeah.
We're all safer.
And hopefully 2 better drivers. So, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't avoid it.
Okay. Does the board want to make a motion on that issue of taking the $5,000 that was originally set aside for new vehicle setup
It was for
For
bumpers.
For the
For
For the
bumpers,
bumper
yeah.
setups, yeah.
Yeah,
I
for the-
remember.
and just applying it to these current bumpers?
I can, do we need to make a motion?
I need a motion.
Okay, I'll move to, okay, the allocation of the 5,000 and
Towards these
towards the bumper
repair.
repair. Thank you.
Okay,
I'll second it.
second, any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Appreciate that. And then the other one that was going to happen today ended up not going because the vehicle that we were able to get from Spokane, because the whole idea was to get it fixed with the same allocated funds from that insurance. So just to give you guys a note, it ended up being far cheaper than we thought. So we'll just pay it was like $300. That's out of the equipment budget, and then we'll save that for later. So that just to know where we're at in that, and that'll be going to the detective unit. That vehicle. Mm-hmm. And then also on the funds that weren't used from our vehicles, is that, just from my understanding, is that allocated for vehicles, or is that just was at the time and is going to be reabsorbed into the $3 million?
The exit strategy on that was not defined. It was allocated for vehicles, so that would be up to the board on what they wanted to do with the remainder of that.
Okay.
how much is remaining there?
Let's do a quick one here. 46 in that one. $71 on just a quick blush that I've got here. 71,000.
That was allocated for,
That's unspent out of the first approval for the vehicle purchases.
okay.
And I have no other questions on that. I was just wondering where it stood.
Okay. Anything from the undersheriff?
Nope. Just here for support.
For support.
I
All
got
right,
a review coming up.
let's move to solid waste. Richard?
So we've been having problems with our backhoes. It's nothing new. I think everybody pretty much knows. So our cat backhoe has 2,800 hours on it, which is nothing. I mean, it's very low hours, but we can't keep it running for more than a week. This is the second cat backhoe that we've had these problems with now. The warranty is covering some of it, but it's a constant battle with the cat dealership to get them to cover warranties. I have checked in with a couple different dealerships. I have one price from Case. They will take the cat on trade along with our other Case backhoe. They have a backhoe on site, so there's no waiting for it. It's exactly what we need. It's a 74 horse, so there's no DEF, there's no DPF. Those are the biggest problems that we have with our equipment, is the emissions. They're just not robust enough. They don't hold up to the hours that we put on our machines. So these lower horsepower engines are fine for us because we're not doing a lot of digging. You know, all we're doing is pushing and hamping. But it gets us out of that emissions that, you know, just kills the motors. But the amount due past the trade-ins for the Case would be $36,358. And I just know that there was some left over in the setup for our air burner. I wasn't 100% sure exactly how much was left over, but I was hoping to reallocate that towards this, and then hopefully we can cover the rest of it out of our maintenance budget.
And can you tell us what was left in their air burner that we haven't burned up?
So that one has 3,500. And that is out of the Slurpee. So there was an original approved for 44,000 for the burner setup. We came back in December because that didn't need to happen because of a grant that was received, and changed that to 10.6. So that, how much of that is going to end up being? There's only like one bill submitted. How much that 10.6 for the permitting is going to be used?
So, nothing.
Yeah.
The one bill that was already submitted is it. The EPA came back and said that we did not need that Title V anymore.
Awesome. Okay, so let me pull that up.
And Richard, you have some money that went to Shoshone City from DEQ.
Apparently, we're
And that's
still
supposed
trying
to
to
be-
track that down, right?
It wasn't, I found out.
Oh, you did?
Shoshone has it, so DEQ needs
Great.
to get it back from them.
Yeah, so that was 29 and some change, I believe.
They sent it to their own.
That's yeah, awesome. At least it was found though. So
Yeah, but makes me wonder how they're balancing
Yeah.
for these funds that's sitting there.
yeah, no kidding.
Why doesn't anybody send us extra funds?
I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah.
Okay, so depending on how you want to proceed with the 44 as opposed to the 10.6, and going on the 10.6, there's 3,500 left from the Slurpee, and there's 87.26 left from the 10.5 in the lettuce. So there's 12,291.
Okay, so that puts us way too far apart. I honestly thought that there was more in that, so there's no way we can make up that out of our budget. So
What about the funds that went to Shoshone City?
So that should actually be reimbursed to capital, if I remember right. I don't believe that came out of any grants.
So you needed 36, but we've only got 12 left over in grant.
Yeah, I didn't realize we were that far apart on this.
How much in your budget were you thinking you were going to have?
Maybe 5.
So you really need 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, so I think that's a dead deal, unfortunately.
Well, it just, I guess I mean, the option is there that we could use some of that 250,000 in the Slurpee to make up some of that. We'd need another 15.
From the Slurpee, we would need about 27,000 because that 8,700 is in the lettuce. Now that could be pulled back in and used for something else. It's just kind of moving the objectives of those.
But so he has 12,200 between the two of them. So
Correct.
what's the difference between 12,000 and 30,000? 18,000.
18,000. So we'd be using 18,000 out of the LATCF now. Or if we did a strategy like last year in the new budget, we'd be doing capital projects out of that anyway. So I would be inclined to use some of the Slurpee that we need to get allocated by the end of this year.
And I would also be inclined to do that, especially
do you
since this backhoe is starting to cost us money.
It is affecting that production, yeah.
Production and cash.
And then also the repairs.
Okay. So what we would be doing is we'd be voting to allow them to use these two leftover amounts, the 8,700 and the 3,500, and then we'd be allocating an additional 18,000 out of Slurpee funds. Does that make sense? Or is that not how you would do it?
It does, and we could to
Give me a better
make
idea.
it a cleaner process. I would put that 8,700 just back into the lettuce general to be used whenever it needs to, and do the 30,000
Out of Slurpee,
Out of Slurpee.
which needs to be allocated.
Correct.
I like that thinking better. Okay. What do you commissioners think? So basically, take the 87 back from them and put it in the lettuce, and just grant 30,000 out of Slurpee, of which would include their 3,500 that we already had,
Yeah, just use the LATC or SLFRF funds.
and that saves our LATCF for the future.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
Trying to take it from the
Okay. That would get you within 5,000.
And
Comfortable.
I'm almost positive that, I got that in our equipment maintenance budget, yeah.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion? I'll motion that we take the $8,700 remaining in LATCF funds and put it back into the LATCF fund, and grant a total of 18,000, or no, of 30,000. I'm sorry, 30,000 out of LATCF, which includes the $3,500 that they already had. So it's really $26,500
Were we taking that 30,000 out of the SLRF?
out of the SLRF,
Okay.
which is the one that needs to be allocated.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, Richard. So you've got that. If you have enough in your maintenance budget to do the rest.
All right, I appreciate
Okay.
it, thank you very much.
Do we have anything else from the sheriff's department?
No, we're good.
Anything else from solid waste? Okay. Anything else from Grant Queen? Public comments. Mr. Beaner, anything?
Yeah, on the bumpers, how come we're not going through our insurance on them?
So we were told our insurance does not cover those computer crashes. That's why we did try that route first.
Because
Great
they're an
question.
add-on.
Yeah.
Because they're an extra brush bumper. They only cover stock.
Yeah. And the other, just a statement, and I hope you guys realize when other departments come to you for CAT, think about the problems Richard's had with this one and the warranty work.
Yeah, the warranty is a concern.
It's
Yeah.
not worth the paper it's printed on.
Yeah, if you got to
And so
fight
that's
with
another
it.
thing with Case, I'll just bring up. Their warranty is I can't even explain how much better a Case warranty is. They don't charge for travel time, they don't charge man hours. Everything is absolute 100% covered.
Like an actual warranty.
Yes, because it's actually dealership. It's not, it's covered by dealership. It's not covered by, what am I trying to think?
Corporate or.
Corporate, thank you, yes.
Mhm. Good point. All right. I think that concludes our business here this morning. All right. We are adjourned.